Hi, it's Melanie Benson-Strick here with New Era Success TV. I'm known as the Big Idea Catalyst and, for lack of a better word, evolutionary strategist and a navigator of transformation for entrepreneurs all over the planet. I'm in the middle of something that Marcia Wieder calls owning the dream, claiming the dream. And I don't know, maybe you can relate to this. There's something that I've shifted about recently. And I'm going to give Marcia Wieder complete honorary kudos for being the spark of this shift inside of me. I feel very privileged to have seen her speak about a month ago, and then shared a car with her. I've driven her to a really amazing retreat this weekend and spent some time with her. And I just love how the world works. You know, you all of a sudden people start showing up in your life that you're supposed to be in relationship, you're supposed to learn and grow with, and that's definitely happened with Marcia here. So, but here's what happened. A few weeks back, I heard her talk about dreams, and you probably heard me say before that I never used the whole word dream as much because I kind of felt it was a little woo-woo and like, okay, I don't know about dreams. But what she said made so much sense. And she said, when you bring logic into your dream too early, it kills the dream. And it flipped something for me. Because right now, I've been in the middle of manifesting some amazing shifts in who I'm showing up as on this planet. I'm having to shed an identity that I've become very proud of and unlearn many of the things that got me to where I'm at right now in order to shift into this next level of how I bring my work out in the world and how I serve people. And I've been doing it organically for 10 years, but I never felt like I should make my business about it. And so there's that dream that you have for you, and there's the dream that the world has for you, and the dream that the world has, or spirit, whatever you want to call it, is now so deeply embedded in me, I can't not be in action around it. And it's taken some very interesting twists and turns. And so what's happened for me is really quite magical. First of all, I'm shifting the business, but what happened inside of that, and I'm just getting the chills, and I might even get a little teary here. Almost 3 years ago, I met a man that I fell deeply, madly in love with. And this man changed my heart. He changed the way I thought about relationships. In a lot of ways, he was not the man I ever thought I would meet, and I didn't meet him in a way that I ever thought I would meet a man that I would spend my life with. But we knew, both of us, that we were one of the most amazing fits together. And yet, about a year into our relationship, he had to call it quits. And it just was excruciatingly painful. I was in a lot of pain around it, and it hurt. And yet the feeling inside of me didn't go away. The feeling of what it was like to be in that kind of a conscious relationship with someone stayed with me. And so even though I dated and I had relationships after that, nothing felt vibrationally a match. And so I knew, and this is lesson number one, I knew that if something is not a vibrational match, if it does not make me feel the way I want to feel inside, that it is not something I want to say yes to. And this applies to our business, it applies to relationships, it applies to every choice we make in our life. And so I got to a point where I realized that I couldn't say yes to anything that didn't feel like that. And so as I continued to release things that were not in congruency, and continued to explore and be open to how it could look, I got a message one day, about 18 months later, that said, I'm doing this work. And it was a really, really deep, very profoundly life-changing body of work called Hoffman. And my ex that I was so passionately, madly in love with, went to this work and came out of it, and we reconnected. And as much as I was trying to move past him and get over him and release him, a 4-hour conversation later, we realized that the energy and the vibration that we had never left. What had changed was who I was being and who he was being. And he finally was at a place in his life where he had shed the limitations and all of the weight of his life that was holding him back from loving himself enough to say yes to the love that we had between us. And it was probably one of the most magical moments that I ever heard when he said, Melanie, I've never stopped being madly in love with you. I'm still madly in love with you. And what would it take for us to build a bridge back to the life we had? Whoa, like so never expected that. Releasing him, getting rid of all the feelings and trying to move away from it. And here it is right back again. I've heard many people say that when I'm trying to release the thing that I thought I wasn't supposed to have in my life, here it comes back. It's like the thing that we think is not us comes back. And so I was at a choice. And what I chose to do is to say yes to the dream. I didn't know what it was going to look like. He's getting on a plane to go to Thailand 10 days later and travel the world for 2 years. What do I say? I don't know. How do I navigate in that? That feels really big and scary. And so by saying yes, I'm willing to explore this, the next thing that came out is, maybe you could meet me in Australia in 2 months. Oh my God, all the no's come up, right? Like, no, I can't do that. No, I can't. How do I go to Australia for a month? And he said, just think about it. So I let every single thing that could possibly get in the way come up. I thought of all the logical reasons why it wouldn't work, the checkbook that's not there to support it. As a matter of fact, Marcia Wieder says, don't let your checkbook decide whether or not you can say yes to your dream. So I decided to say, what do I feel, instead of what is my brain telling me? And what I felt was a big yes. I didn't know how it was going to work. I didn't know how it was going to come together. I knew he was willing to take me, and we'd figure the rest of it out. Do you have any idea what kind of stretch it is for me to say yes to something and not know how? But I didn't care. I needed to not know how. So I said yes. And he said, if you come to Australia with me, I'm not going on the rest of my journey. I'm coming home to build our life together. So wait, it gets better. And it's a little crazy. But I feel at the deep of my core that saying yes meant I was saying yes to a feeling inside of me that had been there for 3 years. So he called me the next morning and he said, I'm coming to see you before I go. And spending 3 days with him in person meant, A, he was showing up in a way that I knew he was committed and serious, and I knew he was saying yes too. So it brought my confidence up a little bit. And so, 2, when you take action that's in alignment with the dream, when you take action to say yes and be doing the things that need to be done to support the dream, it moves providence. It moves the evidence. It moves the confidence up. So 1, say yes when it feels right. 2, be in action, congruent action with the dream. So a few days ago, my beloved and I can only Skype right now. He's in Thailand. And 3 days ago, Michael Skyped me. I was having a little bit of a rough day. It was a tough day, missing him, being in doubt, was letting my mind creep in with all of the reasons why this couldn't, shouldn't, or wouldn't work. And he said, I was going to ask you something when we got to Fiji. Because we're going to Fiji first for a week and then going to Australia for the last 3 weeks. And he said, and I feel like I actually want to ask you now. I'm taking a deep breath thinking, what on earth? And he says, will you marry me on Fiji? This is insane. Like, we've seen each other 3 days. We haven't spent much time together for 6 months. And yet, deep inside, I knew the answer was yes. This is a man I've been in love with for years. I know who he is. We know all each other's deep, dark secrets. We've been through very intense transformation together. He knows who I am. I've been completely raw, truthful, authentic, and vulnerable. He's seen me at my absolute worst. I've seen him at his absolute worst. I knew the answer was yes. I didn't know how everything was going to work. I didn't know how everything was going to go, but I said yes. So I'm getting married. I'm getting married on Fiji. I'm getting married the first week of November and spending 3 weeks in Australia. So that's my big news, and that's one of the ways in which dreams do come true, is when you allow yourself to first recognize the dream. Second, to hold the space for the dream inside your feeling, not inside your logic. And 3, to be in action that's congruent with your dream. And 4, to let go how it's supposed to look. To let go how you believe it should look, how it should be showing up. And to know that when magic and dreams are revealing themselves to you, don't let your brain decide. Let your heart start and check in. Does it feel right there? And then know that saying yes with the logic of the how comes after you connect inside your heart. And if you're not there yet, that's okay too. I don't know that I would have been before. And what I know now is I'm the happiest, I'm the most fulfilled, and I feel the most congruent with my life than I ever have. And so, from my heart to yours, what's your dream? What can we do to support you saying yes to your dream? And what's the big idea that's simmering underneath all of this for you? I hope that in some way, either through the New Era Entrepreneur Community or our Big Idea Incubator Program, or simply by getting more active and connected in this community, that we can support your dream coming to life. And thank you for celebrating mine with me. I'm so beyond mind blown that this has surfaced the way it has. And I know it's going to be a journey. I know it's going to be a ride. I know there's going to be stuff. And you know what? It's all okay. Because that's what transformation's about, right? This is Melanie Benson-Strick with New Era Success TV. Thanks for watching.